story time, story time. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na, ta-na-na. Hey guys, my name is Atenka Simpukuku and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks to everyone who is a returning subby. Today I want to talk about my journey of being pregnant outside of wedlock. And I do want to start off by saying that it was never part of the plan. It was not my plan at all. I remember that all I wanted for myself was to first get married and be happy with my husband, travel the world with him, and only consider having children on the 5th year of our marriage. So yeah, that was the primary plan. Alternatively, I wanted to have a child when I turn 30 if I happen not to be lucky enough to have a husband. So yeah, that was the plan for me, to have a child at least after reaching 30 years of age, but it didn't happen that way, unfortunately. I had my first child, yeah, in my late 20s. So yeah, where do I start? I really don't know where to start, but I think this all started in 2020, because prior to that I was not in any relationship. I had decided to explore being single, happily single, with no partner, and just be celibate. That's what I wanted for myself. So it was a nice journey. I was happy that time and everything was going well. But in 2019, things changed a bit. And that's when I decided to change as well, because my situation had changed. And now I decided to loosen up my boundaries a bit, and I changed some of my values. So then that led me to the following year, which was 2020, and now we had lockdown at the beginning of the year. So during lockdown, it was the first few days of lockdown, the hard lockdown. I reunited with someone from my past. Yes, I know, yeah, but I got back with my ex, and it was so nice, very lovely in the beginning. Yeah, it was very nice. So so in the beginning, I remember we used to chat on WhatsApp, and there's this other day he said that he has a lot of sanitizer at his place, and so I should come and get some for myself, and he also offered me mask. So we had a very nice chat, and it developed over time. It got to a point whereby we met. Yeah, he was passing by my wood, and so he said that I should accompany him to a certain place, and so I did. And after that, we continuously kept communicating. Beginning of the year 2020, I had bought myself a cookbook, and I was trying a lot of those recipes. So he would come over and we would have our dinner on Sunday while listening to Metro FM. So you know the vibes. Yeah, and that made me completely comfortable. I had completely forgotten about my celibacy plan and the happiness I had when I had no partner. So it was nice for me to have someone now that I can talk to about anything and everything. It was so great. So then I fell in love, like deeply in love, and also things over time developed. We will then go out on dates. Also, when I met him, I was in a process of getting my property registered, my apartment, and later in that year, around August, it was registered. I moved in, and everything was just going so nicely and smoothly. I became even more relaxed and more comfortable. to an extent that I thought I somehow made it in life. And now all of those visions that I had and dreams of getting married first, just I forgot about them. I completely forgot about all of that. I was so relaxed. I was not on contraceptives. I was just me living my life the way I wanted to. And that led me through being. I still remember it was the 24th of September when a lady pastor of my previous church called me. So that day, it was the Heritage Day, right? And my boyfriend was going to take me out. So while I was preparing to go out, I think I was bathing. This lady pastor of my previous church called me. She's a junior lady pastor. So she called me and she was like, she had a dream about me. In that dream, it appeared as if I was pregnant and I was crying because I didn't know what to do with the pregnancy. So she further said that I need to go back to church. I still have my place in the church. They love me and all of that. To my defense, I said to her that I'm not pregnant. And I was very much confident that I'm not pregnant, definitely not pregnant. So I was like, no, it was just a dream. I am not pregnant and I am not planning to go back to the church. In fact, I will never go back to that church. And that is a story for another day as to what happened and why I wouldn't go back to the church. So I was like, no, I'm not going back. And yeah, I'm happy where I am. Everything is just going well. But I do miss them a lot because, yeah, they meant so much to me. So I was like, I miss you guys, but I just can't go back to the church. So then, yeah, we had that chat. And after that, I spoke to my boyfriend. I was like, hey, this call I was on, the lady pastor of my previous church was saying that she had a dream about me. So I told him everything. And I still said to him that I cannot be pregnant. I'm not pregnant. We laughed about it. Nah, yeah, obesity. No, yeah, you're not pregnant. Wada, 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 wada. Okay. Then we got dressed and we went out. It was a nice day. So then days went by. I missed my period. So my period usually takes about 3 days. And now on the third day, I had still not had my period. So that's when I started to panic. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? What's going on? Yeah, okay, but then I still relaxed. Then a weekend approached. It was a Saturday. On that day, I had a date with the girls I recently met at work. So we were going out to Grand West. And so before we went out, because that's the day where I was so concerned, I'm like, hey, I didn't get my period this month at all. So perhaps something is wrong. In that morning of that Saturday, of the 4th of October, a day I will never forget in my entire life, the 4th of October 2020. Yo, that day, I went to Clicks to buy the pregnancy test, came back home, I tested, and there it was, positive. Yo, hayi ke. So ndithini ke ngoku? What do I do? But it took a while for me to understand the significance of that test. I looked at it and it showed positive, but somehow I had no reaction or whatsoever. Like I couldn't, I think I was numb. I had no emotions. It was like I'm not alive. I looked at it and like I wasn't even shocked. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. I don't know what was happening at that moment. It was just a blank moment for me. Moments later, I was laughing, and then jiggy jiggy, I'm crying. Hi, Bo. And what's going on? Then, few minutes later, I'm in front of the mirror, looking at my tummy, imagining myself being a mom. I was dancing in front of the mirror. I was crying. It was just a mess. It was a mess. But eventually, I had to bath because the time for us to meet was approaching. So I had to bath. And yeah, I completely forgot about the pregnancy test. I bathed myself, I prepared, I went over, we met, we had a nice time. But a strange thing happened though, because we didn't know each other well. So we were asking each other questions, trying to get to know each other. And now they asked me if I have a child. Ooh. And remember, I had just found out that I'm pregnant. So for a moment, I didn't know how to respond to that. But eventually, I said, no, I don't have a child yet. I said, not yet. So yeah, the day went by. My boyfriend came to pick me up and we went to my apartment. When we got there, yo guys, I cried a lot. I don't know why I cried. I still don't know why I cried so much, because when I was alone and I saw that pregnancy test, it was the silent cry. You know, when you cry but you're not entirely crying. I don't know how it was, but I was not hurt. But when I showed him the pregnancy test, yo, I started crying. Dalila, 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 ndaqonda ndineentloni. Now ndaba neentloni. I was so ashamed to stop crying because I didn't know how to act now after this whole thing that I just did. Oh, yeah. But anyway, he then brought another pregnancy test. I think that was like a few days later. He brought another one so that we can be sure, because him trying to convince me, since he saw that I was crying, he was like, perhaps it's not accurate. Let me get you another one. Let me get you another one and we see from it. Then he got me another test and it also confirmed that I'm 2 to 3 weeks pregnant. So then, yeah, we just had to make plans after that as to how we dealt with it. Because I remember at the beginning of our relationship, we had a conversation about having a child. So I told him that I'm really not ready to have a child because of finances. Obviously, it was going to add so much responsibility. So then we agreed that we're not going to have the child. Then okay, things happened and things changed, and now we had to take on that responsibility. And I have to say that we have taken it gracefully. Yeah, God has been with us in that journey. Then we got to the acceptance stage and the acknowledgement stage that I am going to be a mom. Remember, I used to preach to people that they shouldn't get pregnant outside of wedlock. They must wait until they have a husband in order for them to have a child. And there I was, pregnant. And now I was like, okay, how do I show up to the same people now? How do I face the world? How do I face the very same people that I had told to be more careful? And it was a journey of me accepting what had happened. And I have to say, I accepted it so well, very well. Yeah, very well. Because mainly, I am generally a person who has a lot of confidence. So it doesn't matter what happens in my life, I just take a responsibility of it and I accept situations. So, yeah, so I was like, I can afford the child. And yeah, I can move with this. I have grace to move with this. I motivated myself with that. But through all of that, I have learned that life is so unpredictable. And I have learned that things change over time because even my values had changed. Hence, it got to a point of me acting the way I did during the year of 2020, which was completely different from how I used to act prior to that. Because prior to that, I had decided to be celibate, and now there I was, not on contraceptives and just living freely. So I had to face the consequences of my actions. Here I am now, continuously facing the consequences of my actions. And I have to say that I love my daughter so much. She's my joy. She is my heart. She's my everything. I love her so much. But guys, please just don't get pregnant before marriage. Okay, let me not say before marriage. Let me just say don't get pregnant before you are financially stable, before you find your ground, before you find yourself. Make sure that by the time you decide to be pregnant, you are ready. Just make sure that you have put measures in place, and pregnancy shouldn't really decrease your standard of living. So if you see that being pregnant will decrease your standard of living, then rather not be. But if while you are pregnant, you can still maintain your standard of living and you can even improve it, then you should consider having a child, but just be in a state whereby you have a peace of mind and you are happy with your life, you are content with what is happening in your life. In conclusion, Kesana, I have just learned that it is the grace of God that people are able to maintain their celibacy. It is just the grace of God that people don't have children before marriage. It is nothing of your own power. It's just the grace of God. So it was the grace of God for me as well to be kept through those years until I got to a point where I conceived. It was just not my power. Because I remember when I used to preach about it, it was as if I was in control of it. But to think of it now, I was never in control. I was never in control. And it was just God keeping me. And so now I took a step back where I was no longer going to church, where I was no longer feeding my spirit as much as I used to. I did not read my Bible as often as I used to. So that made me to fall into this trap of falling pregnant. And it was not my plan. It was not my plan. As much as I carried it so well, I carried my pregnancy so well. Even after pregnancy, things have been just amazing. Things have been blossoming, but it was never my plan. I just adjusted everything. I adjusted my dreams. I adjusted my plans. My whole life was rearranged. So we continuously need to remind ourselves of our values. We shouldn't get to any point whereby we loosen those values. Those are the values that we chose, and there was a reason that we chose them. So it doesn't matter what life throws at us, but we should always remember our values, always stick to our boundaries. Even if we go through hardships, even if things are not going well, we must always maintain our values, our integrity throughout, because we do get a reward at the end of the day. We do get a reward for the goodness that we do, the goodness that we do to others, the goodness that we do to ourselves. I want to close by saying that let us not be tired of doing good, because at the right time we will be rewarded for it. And we have come to the end. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and just share your thoughts on the comment section. If you have experienced the same thing as me, please do comment and share how you handled the whole situation.